If I had a kid going to college right now who wanted to be a filmmaker, I would say Oberlin, because you're going to get a very intensive experience, close interaction, personal relationships with professors, and opportunities to do film and cinema in every dimension.
The classes I've taken have introduced me to a wealth of fascinating, interesting things, but also the students here tend to do really interesting work. So it's really nice to be in an environment where you not only get to learn a theoretical knowledge of how stuff should work, but a practical knowledge of working with people and producing really, really interesting content.
Being in the cinema studies department allows you to branch out to the other parts of the college.
Someone always has a friend who's in tomorrow or the conservatory or in theater that can really kind of support what we need, and that makes Oberlin like I think a very special place. There's just so much enthusiasm, inspiration, and talent.
One of the things that I love about Oberlin in general is just the close relationships that students have with professors, not only in the cinema studies department, but in general.
If you have a certain interest, I'm sure you'll be able to find, someone who has a similar interest to you and is very interested in what you want to do.
If you're not interested in production at all and you just want to take critical classes and you just want to really be approaching cinema from a scholarly standpoint, there's really a lot of different tracks that you can follow, and it just makes it a really interesting experience to be in the major.
Theory is appealing to me in that it's based in history. Just adds to film as something that's real and serious and not just kind of taken for granted as entertainment.
All of the classes I've taken here, I've really loved the films that we've watched and the discussions that we have.
Everyone can learn something valuable from cinema studies. At the very least, you understand how media work and how media influence you. And a knowledge of how communication works is truly vital to being a human.
I'm analyzing things in different ways now, and sometimes it kind of takes the mystery out of it a little bit when you're learning about the specific styles, but it also gives you a really cool inside look into what's really going on.
I never wanted to go to a program that only had technical film instruction. I always wanted to also be getting that theoretical side of a cinema studies education, and it was also really important to me to be part of a film program that was surrounded by a lot of other really strong departments.
What drew me to Oberlin was, that there's a lot of other stuff going on, and that the cinema studies department had a lot of intersections with English and creative writing.
A lot of my learning here is always very interconnected, and whatever I'm learning in another class, I take to another.
The way that I approach film is kind of representing people, and you have to be really careful about your representation of them. Film is a really good way to talk about these kinds of things, and I don't think a lot of other schools teach you that in that same way.
What really draws students to Oberlin is the other students. You can be guaranteed a really strong education, a really exciting education, but I think that if you want to come to a place where there's a real interest in building community based on shared interests and shared passions and shared goals, that's really what makes this place come alive.
You have some amazing resources and tools here, and people who are so willing to help and collaborate with you. There are a lot of ways to do what you want here. You just have to kind of decide that on your own and find a path.